I'd like to turn over the microphone to Julie Gray and Gidon Lev. Julie, if you could come here. Julie has been an inspiration for me in the last year while I finished. If you could just sit here.
You don't get to sit on my lap, that's it. You want to sit on my lap, you don't.
So, in this last year, and the last year is really the last steps of a marathon when it's really hardest to keep going, because that's when all the glitches come up. And Julie had published her book in 2020. I'm so glad I didn't publish my book in the same year as you. I read it and I loved it. I read lots of reviews about Julie's and Gidon's story, and I was very excited to meet her. And finally, last Friday, my dentist drove me to their house, because who else in Israel except your dentist would drive you to meet your favorite writer? So, of course, isn't it? This is the way. So I asked Julie and Gidon impromptu to come and read from her book. So it's a great honor. I'm very excited to turn over the mic to Julie Gray and Gidon Lev.
Oh, Leanne, you're so generous. So I'm going to read a little bit, and then Gidon's just going to say a few words, we decided. So this handsome man...
No, we decided it's Julie.
Good job. Good.
Is that in the book?
This handsome man is on the cover of this book, The True Adventures of Gidon Lev, which we were surprised to be invited today, so we weren't prepared. We have 2 books that we can sell, but we have business cards. And I just want to read you part of the introduction, and then Gidon will introduce himself. So this book was awarded as one of the best books of 2020 by the Kirkus Review, and was just awarded also an Indie Reader Discovery Award, which we're very proud of, and has been reviewed very nicely in some major publications. So, but the reason for this book is sitting to my right. The love of my life, the person who restored meaning to my life after some terrible losses, is this guy. I only wish I'd met him 50 years ago. So, but he was busy. So I'm just going to read a bit of the introduction and then let Gidon speak, because as he said, I speak more than as you inferred. Now he's in trouble. Okay. Hang on, I have to take off my
Not for the first time.
Not for the first time. On the face of it, The True Adventures of Gidon Lev is the story of an elderly Holocaust survivor, a man who made it through horrifying events and lived to tell the tale. But Gidon did more than survive. He thrived. Gidon's is the story of a little boy who never truly grew up, with a desperate need to belong and to build a family for himself. His story spans the beginnings of a fledgling country, a first marriage gone seriously wrong, a second marriage that lasted for over 40 years, and a late-in-life relationship with a writer and editor, 30 years his junior, with whom his adventures, continued apace. I moved from Los Angeles to Israel in 2012 on the heels of great grief and loss. Everybody thought I was crazy. But the heartfelt memoir I would write about my experiences would prove everybody wrong and heal all of my wounds. This was going to be my A Year in Provence, my Under the Tuscan Sun, my Eat, Pray, Love. I just had to wait for it all to make sense. But it didn't exactly happen that way. It turns out you can't really outrun grief, and that regaining a sense of purpose can take time. In my case, a lot of time, and a very special person named Gidon Lev. When I was a kid, I saw a miniseries about the Holocaust on television. Starring Meryl Streep and James Woods, among others, the series aired in 4 parts. I was shaken to my core. Ovens? Gas chambers? Later in life, I learned much more about the Holocaust through films, books, and museum exhibits. By then, I had converted to Judaism. But the Holocaust, the lowest moment in human history, the absolute nadir of humankind, wasn't a part of my family history, nor of anyone's that I knew, even tangentially. When I came to Israel, I was aware that many Holocaust survivors lived here. Israelis are accustomed to their presence in the social fabric. Every year on Yom HaShoah, sirens blare out over the whole country in every city, village, and town. Cars pull over to the side of the road, and freeways come to a standstill. The whole country simply stops and stands, heads bowed for what seems like forever, but is really only 2 minutes. My first encounter with this annual ritual of mourning left me with a deep sense of sadness and respect for the millions of victims of the Holocaust and the way that Israel as a nation chooses to mark that day each year. I didn't know it at the time, but only 2 months before I arrived in Israel in 2012, Gidon Lev lost his wife of over 41 years. Susan's death was a terrible blow for Gidon and the whole family. It was that great sorrow and a need to keep busy that allowed him the time and space to reflect, for the first time in a long time, through writing down the story of his life. It was through his writing that my life and Gidon's overlapped. Gidon's life can be, in some ways, expressed through numbers, symbols, and dates. He was born in 1935, an only child. He was put on Transport M as number 885 and imprisoned in the Terzen, or Theresienstadt Nazi concentration camp, from the ages of 6 to 10. He is one of 92 children estimated to have survived the camp. Wow. His father was sent to Auschwitz, where he was tattooed as prisoner B12156. Gidon lost 26 family members in the Holocaust. He was liberated in 1945 and came to Israel in 1959. He was a soldier in the Six-Day War, responsible for an FN 5.56 caliber Belgian automatic rifle. He was a husband to 2 wives, father to 6 children, and grandfather to 14. Gidon was also a 2-time survivor of cancer. As of 2020, he had lived for 85 years. There are an estimated 200,000 Holocaust survivors left in the world today. Gidon is one of a rapidly disappearing generation. There may be fewer living eyewitnesses to the Nazi atrocities of World War II when you finish reading this book than when you began it. We must share their stories, and we must make these stories matter. The research, writing, and reading that I did while working with Gidon on this book were, naturally, distressing for me on every level. We like to believe that the human race has progressed and improved. On the continuum of human history, 75 years ago is but a blip. On the contrary, it saddens me that for many, the Holocaust seems like it happened eons ago on a scratchy black and white newsreel. We have become alarmingly removed. History, as Mark Twain may or may not have said, doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. So, and I want to give the mic to my beloved, to my Beshert, the man himself.
I guess I can sit. Can
Oh, close to you.
I guess I can sit. May I?
Yes, of course.
I'm probably the oldest person here, so I take some liberties. Anyway, first of all, I'm not yet used to being the center of attention and being made such a hero. I feel and I felt, and I guess I told Julie over many times, that I didn't even find myself attractive or anything special. Just trying to live and survive and make the most of life as I found it, or as life found me. It's such an honor for you to have invited us here for your book presentation. I'm thrilled, and I started reading your book 2 days ago, and I'm enjoying it immensely.
Thank you so much.
Even though, in terms of, I would say, God and belief, we go a little bit different path. But I'm here, and that must say something. I always said to myself, no, I've survived so many things. The Holocaust, cancer twice, abduction of children, War One, I mean the Six-Day War, the War of Attrition. Um, there must be a star up there looking after me. Because how is it possible that I'm still around today? In any case, I am, as you see, and I'm trying my very best to enjoy life today as much as possible. And the fact is that I bumped Shalagid into Julie in itself is a miracle. If you can imagine, I finished writing some 60, 70,000 words, and you write about your life. I wasn't thinking so much of a book. I was thinking, I want to put down what I went through in my life. There's many ups and downs and funny things and tragic and joyful. I write it down. Maybe it'll be just for my kids. And I have, by the way, as of 4 months ago, not 14 grandchildren, but 15 grandchildren, and one great granddaughter. So, if Hitler managed to destroy my family, I got mine back, and that's a big one. But don't think for 1 minute that it was a plan. I had no idea, no plan whatsoever to have so many children and grandchildren, which is already not up to me. Anyway, as you can imagine, they don't ask me, do you want another grandson or granddaughter? No, or great-granddaughter. In any case, the fact is, Julie and I found each other because I was looking for an editor. And somebody who would make out of all these words something that would be readable and enjoyable. And even though Julie first said no, 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 somehow said, oh, maybe, let's give it a shot. And she did. And she asked for help from people from all over the world. And lo and behold, people as far as India said, I'm willing to translate, I'm willing to type, I'm willing to make it into categories. And here we are today. And I am hopeful that we will sell many books and many people will enjoy it. And maybe we are going to come out even with a film,
Making a Netflix documentary about us.
we are making a Netflix, and then we can all enjoy it sitting at home.
Gidon, what language did you write your notes in?
The language that I wrote in is English. Yeah. I speak actually German. No, I would start like this. My best language is definitely English. Then I would say Hebrew, then German. German I can turn it, twist into a little bit of Yiddish, and a few words in Arabic, a few words in Russian. I've lived 40 years up in the north in Nazareth Elite, which is Nof HaGalil today, and my neighbors were Arabs. And I spoke to them not Arabic, but I spoke to them mostly in English. So I love languages, and I should have learned more. If you have any questions, please be free to answer. I'll try and answer you with all my heart.
Your books here? We have 2 books here. But we have a bunch of. We didn't expect this, but we have a website and a business card, and we would love you to purchase some, and we would love some more good reviews.
And we have a representative from Pomerantz. Just the Pomerantz Books is here. So you can buy it Pomerantz, right?
That's right. Okay.
Is your book there too?
Yes.
Anybody, any question? Yes. Where was I born? I was born in 1935.
No, wait, where?
Where? In Carlsbad,
Gidon, put them
which is Karlovy Vary, Carlsbad, Karlovy Vary. It's the border area between Germany and Czechoslovakia. But in 1918, when at the end of the First World War, Czechoslovakia was born. And that part was definitely part of Czechoslovakia. But there were a lot of Germans living there, and they wanted independence or autonomy or whatever. And that was the excuse that Hitler used to say, this part has to belong to Germany. And for peace, we give it. Of course, it was foolish.
We have another question right here, and then you should go.
Why haven't you recorded your testimony for Steven Spielberg?
He has a testimony at Yad Vashem, and the Shoah Foundation, Spielberg's organization, is doing one in about a week.
Wow.
Anyway, thank you, Leanne, so much.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Okay. Thank you, Daniela. Back to the hostess with the mostest.
That's what happens when you get old.
Get in, but start to get up.
Find it hard to get up, huh?
Thank you so much, Julie Gray, Gidon Lev. Of course, please. I'd like to say, as a memoir writer and a writing teacher, can I teach a little bit? I just have to add this little point that, you know, writing a memoir, you can't do it alone. You need inspiration, and you need support. You need strokes from people who believe in your story, and if you're lucky, you get to meet them, and if not, you get to read them. And so I was very lucky having that support in Japan that pushed me through during the 9 years that it took to write this. And having Julie and Gidon here is just amazing. And it's just part of the story that what comes around goes around. And it's such an honor. So wherever they are, thank you. Thanks. Okay. I'm going to take my glasses off.